Happy Monday, Steelers Nation. We've got another week of Steelers coverage coming your way right here on Steelers Talk. And we're going to kick off your week of Steelers coverage here with the latest on Aaron Rodgers from Ian Rapoport and Jeremy Fowler from ESPN. Then we'll talk a little bit about the possibility of the Steelers pairing Aaron Rodgers back up with Alan Lazard this offseason. And then, in kind of a surprising move here, there's a report saying that the Jets are now shopping Breece Hall via trade. Should the Steelers be interested in getting the potential star running back? Before we get into the content today, though, we will be going live later this evening, 5:30 p.m. Eastern Time. Me and Jack Sperry will be chopping it up, talking some Steelers football with you guys to kick off your week. So make sure you guys click that subscribe button if you haven't already to never miss a Steelers Talk live show or any of our regular videos during the week here on this channel. All right, now let's get into the latest on Aaron Rodgers here, where ESPN's Jeremy Fowler says that the Steelers, quote-unquote, remain optimistic Rodgers will sign with them to be their next starting quarterback. This was the update we got from Fowler this weekend. I'm told from the Steelers they do remain optimistic, but nothing has changed from when Art Rooney, team president, addressed the media at the owners' meetings on Tuesday, that they feel good about this shaking out, that Rodgers will be a Pittsburgh Steeler. Talking to people that have been involved in the quarterback market in the last couple of months, they believe that the Steelers must have gotten some sort of assurance at some point from Rodgers that he's going to sign eventually. The Minnesota Vikings, is he waiting them out? That is sort of a lingering question out there, but when I talk to the people at the Vikings, this is all but dead for them essentially. Maybe if he's available later in the summer, they would revisit, but that just seems unlikely at this point. So it's Steelers, retirement, or bust. So Jeremy Fowler pretty much laying it out pretty clearly there that Rodgers can choose the Steelers, retirement, or continue to wait. And then Ian Rapoport from NFL Network also provided an update this morning on Rodgers, saying the Steelers all sort of said the same thing. They love him. They will welcome him in. They want him. They haven't put a deadline on a decision yet, and they are waiting. That's really where we are. And then when it comes to the Vikings possibility, Rapoport said the Minnesota Vikings have made clear that Aaron Rodgers, as of right now, is not an option for them. They are moving full speed ahead with J.J. McCarthy. There are no other spots. If Aaron Rodgers is going to play football in 2025, it's going to be for the Pittsburgh Steelers. So both Rapp and Fowler saying the Vikings are definitely out. And then when it comes to the possibility of Rodgers choosing retirement over the Steelers, Rapoport said, meanwhile, the specter of retirement doesn't seem likely, but at least will be considered an option until he makes a decision. So plain and simply, guys, this is just more confirmation of the information that we already knew about the Aaron Rodgers situation. And honestly, we haven't gotten a true update on the Rodgers situation since pretty much a week from today, when Rodgers was announced through with DK Metcalf at UCLA, which is certainly a signal that he is thinking that he wants to play for the Pittsburgh Steelers. I mean, he's working out with his potential number one receiving weapon. Certainly seems like he would be at least open to playing for the Pittsburgh Steelers, along with the fact that he initiated a 6-hour visit in Pittsburgh. Of course, the Steelers and the top brass certainly feel optimistic at this point, and apparently everything has been positive at every step of the way to this point. So it certainly seems like Rodgers will sign with the Pittsburgh Steelers at some point. And to kind of just recap what we know right now, the two most important points for you guys to know at home is that, number one, the Steelers are the only viable option for Rodgers at this point. Now, he could wait for later in the offseason for the off chance that Minnesota changes their mind on him, say J.J. McCarthy does not have a good offseason or whatever. But right now, the only choice that he really has in terms of picking a team to sign with is the Pittsburgh Steelers. And then the second most important point there is that Rodgers certainly doesn't seem primed to retire. He's working out with players. He's been working out at his training facility in L.A. all offseason long. He's been taking a really heavy interest in not only the Pittsburgh Steelers, but other teams in free agency. All signals do point to Rodgers signing with the Pittsburgh Steelers at some point. And I think that at this point in time, my theory that he's going to make his decision either just before the big night out, the big event Pat McAfee is having in Pittsburgh this weekend, or even at the event itself, is still very much in line to happen here, because it certainly seems like Rodgers and the Steelers have some sort of agreement here, but they're not decided, but he's not putting out an official announcement. We know Rodgers has given Pat McAfee exclusive scoops on his kind of whereabouts. throughout his career. He had the Devontae Adams scoop before he got traded to the New York Jets. He also got the scoop for Rodgers deciding to go to the New York Jets back in 2023. So it makes sense that if Rodgers is waiting for something, it makes sense that he could potentially be waiting for this event on Wednesday. I break down my entire theory of why I think Rodgers may make his decision final at the big night at the Pat McAfee event in Pittsburgh on Wednesday night. Did a whole video on that, put it out this weekend, so I'll put the link to that one in the comments and description of today's show if you want more information on that. So let me know what you guys think down there in the comments section. Is this the week that Aaron Rodgers signs on to be the Pittsburgh Steelers starting quarterback? Give me a yes or a no down there in the comments section. And this will be the pinned comment on today's show. So YouTube's going through an ad break here in just a couple of seconds. I'm going to let you know about our sponsor today at Game Time. But before I talk about Game Time here, give me a yes or a no for today's pinned question. And with that, let's have a word from our sponsor here at Game Time. And recently, producer Coop and myself just went to Globe Life Park to watch Jacob deGrom pitch for the Rangers for the first time this season, where the Rangers beat the Red Sox in Arlington a couple of weekends ago. And thanks to Game Time, we were able to save money on those tickets so we could splurge a bit more at the game itself, on food, on merchandise. We went to Texas Live afterwards. It was a great time, and Game Time is the official ticketing partner of Steelers Talk by Chat Sports and makes getting tickets to any event faster and easier. Prices on the Game Time app actually go down the closer it gets to the first pitch, with killer last-minute deals, all-in prices, views from your seat, and their lowest price guarantee. Game Time takes the guesswork out of buying MLB tickets. The Pirates just stink at this point, let's face it, guys, but PNC Park is still absolutely gorgeous, and Paul Skeens is still him. So if you want to go see Skeens pitch tomorrow night against the St. Louis Cardinals, you can get great deals on seats all over the best ballpark in America to watch the best pitcher in the game do his thing against the dreaded Redbirds. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time today. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code CHATSPORTS. That's one word, all caps, CHATSPORTS for $20 off your first purchase. Terms do apply. Again, create an account and redeem code CHATSPORTS. It's one word, all caps, CHATSPORTS. It's CHATSPORTS for $20 off your first purchase. Download the Game Time app today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. So we know that Aaron Rodgers, if he does sign with the Pittsburgh Steelers, he's been somebody that's been kind of known to want to kind of bring on his buddies to the roster that he is joining. And there certainly seems to be some possibilities for former New York Jets or even current New York Jets to become members of the Pittsburgh Steelers if Aaron Rodgers does sign on to be this team's QB1. ESPN New York Jets reporter Rich Cimini had this to say about the possibility of the Steelers getting Alan Lazard and kind of his situation with the New York Jets right now. Alan Lazard could stay with the Jets, but he will have to take a significant pay cut on his $11 million non-guaranteed base salary. General Manager Darren Moogie said they're working through a potential restructure. Lazard could be waiting to see if a reunion with free agent quarterback Aaron Rodgers is possible before deciding on the Jets' proposal. So the fact that he is specifically mentioning a potential reunion with Aaron Rodgers, and as we talked about, the Steelers being really the only option for the four-time NFL MVP quarterback at this point, is certainly telling. So you take a look here at Lazard's profile. 29 years old, brings some great size to the table at 6'5", 227, and his quarterback has been Aaron Rodgers for every single season he has been a professional. Back when he got drafted by the Green Bay Packers back in 2018. And, of course, he didn't really play with Rodgers in 2023 because he got injured. I believe it was 7 plays into the season. But Rodgers has been on the same roster Lazard has been since 2018. And because of that, he has established chemistry with the 4-time NFL MVP. That could be a benefit to the Pittsburgh Steelers offense next season. You take a look at his recent career stats. And last year, pretty decent season, 530 yards and 6 touchdowns with Rodgers throwing him the football. Had his worst season of his career back in 2023 with Zach Wilson throwing him the ball instead of Rodgers. But he's had some pretty decent seasons, especially that 2021-2022 stretch with the Green Bay Packers, along with Aaron Rodgers, of course, throwing him that football. And I do think that Lazard would be a nice addition here in Pittsburgh. I don't think that, like, if you want to trade George Pickens, I don't think Lazard is going to completely replace GP as like your number 2 receiver. I don't think he's quite that good, but I think he can be a good supplementary piece alongside guys like Calvin Austin III, Roman Wilson. You're still hoping Roman even develops into a legit starting caliber player. So you got DK Metcalf. He's locked in. George Pickens, we'll see what the team decides to do with him this offseason. I hope they keep him around. And then even if you want to bring Alan Lazard on a kind of cheaper deal so that he can play with Aaron Rodgers here, you got three really good supplementary receiver options in Calvin Austin III, Alan Lazard, and Roman Wilson. And, I think that the benefit of having Alan Lazard in this building is not only another really nice big body, kind of hands type of receiver that has chemistry with Aaron Rodgers. I think that certainly helps the offense. But I also think a big benefit is that he speaks the language of Aaron Rodgers. We know how much Rodgers likes to control the line of scrimmage. And because of that, communication and chemistry is very, very important to Rodgers and his wide receivers that he plays with. Lazard already understands Aaron Rodgers' language and his communication, how he wants routes run, all that different stuff, and having kind of that Aaron Rodgers translator in the wide receiver room could be massively beneficial for other guys in the receiver room, such as DK Metcalf, George Pickens, and Calvin Austin III. So I think that he brings more value than just what he brings as a player. I think he has the potential to be a benefit for the entire wide receiver room, that is, if he's made available by the New York Jets. So what say you guys? Let me know down there in the comment section. Would you bring on Alan Lazard if the New York Jets do decide to release him, which is a possibility according to ESPN? So type S if you would sign him, or type P if you would pass on him. Let me know what you guys think down there in the comment section. For me, if he becomes available and you can get him for a decent price, I'm bringing him in. Speaking of New York Jets that might be not New York Jets here in 2025, Breece Hall is somebody that has now been connected to potential trade rumors surrounding the New York Jets here. Once again, Rich Cimini from ESPN had this to say about the potential of the Jets trading Breece Hall. Hall is among a handful of players up for a contract extension, most notably cornerback Sauce Gardner and wide receiver Garrett Wilson, both drafted in the same year as Hall. It will be difficult to keep them all long term. He continues here by saying Hall is a gifted player who would attract interest if dangled in trade talks. Perhaps the Jets would consider moving him if Boise State star Ashton Jeanty is available with the 7th overall pick in the April 24 draft. And then after that, Breece Hall put this out on his X account yesterday, not showing particular interest in this particular report from Rich Cimini. Not too happy about the fact that his name is being brought up in trade talks. At least that's probably what most people are taking from this photo that Breece Hall put out yesterday. Now, when it comes to a potential Breece Hall trade, I would be in on it, all right? Absolutely. If the Jets do actually make him available, and if it is possible, I would be giving the Jets a call to see if I could get Breece Hall to be the new number one running back here in Pittsburgh. And my guess is Aaron Rodgers would also be very much in favor of this. I really do think that he would love to have Breece Hall. Rodgers has spoken very glowingly about Hall in the past in terms of his skill set, in terms of his quickness, his vision, all that different stuff. And I think that, Rodgers is certainly somebody that has been somebody that has a history of bringing his friends and his pals into his new teams. And I do think Breece Hall fits into that category. And my take on Hall, guys, is that he's one of the more complete running backs in the entire league. He plays with great vision. If you want him to do the one cut and run type of stuff with the outside zone that Arthur Smith likes to run here in Pittsburgh, he can absolutely do that, but he's very scheme diverse. He's got great foot speed. He's got good long speed. He's a plus receiver out of the backfield as well. I think, if the Steelers really want to go out and get their Saquon Barkley, their Christian McCaffrey, their Derrick Henry, somebody that's going to be able to come in and be their true number one star running back, Breece Hall would give the Steelers an opportunity to have that type of running back presence in their running back room heading into 2025. But the most that I would give, and honestly, I would be a little bit wary of giving up a third-round pick, but that would probably be the absolute most the Steelers give up for him, in my opinion. And honestly, if Omar Khan can get this done for like a 4th or even a 5th-round pick, that would be an absolute steal, in my opinion, because Hall is one of the better running backs in the National Football League, at least in my opinion, especially if this offensive line can develop here in Pittsburgh with Broderick Jones, Mason McCormick, and Troy Fautano. If those three guys can really flourish the way that this organization thinks that they're going to, Breece Hall could really have a breakout season, become a true superstar running back here in Pittsburgh. The thing with giving up your third-round pick, though, is that you also don't have a second-round pick. So you'd be left with 0 day 2 draft picks and just your first-round pick at number 21. Now, something that you could do is you could trade down from number 21. You could even trade down multiple times if you wanted to get more picks on day 2. But, this is certainly something where they got to be pretty damn sure about Breece Hall if you're going to be able to make this move if you are the Pittsburgh Steelers. So let me know what you guys think down there in the comments section. Is Breece Hall worth a third-round pick if you are the Pittsburgh Steelers this year, or would you rather keep that third-rounder and take a rookie? Type A for accept or D for decline. Let me know what you guys think down there in the comment section. And that'll be it for today's AM edition of Steelers News and Rumors. Again, later this evening, Mr. Jack Sperry and I will be going live on Steelers Talk at 5:30 p.m. Eastern to talk a little bit more about the latest surrounding the NFL draft with the Pittsburgh Steelers. We'll also talk a little bit about Aaron Rodgers. If there's any news updates that comes out throughout the day on Rodgers, we'll let you guys know on Steelers Talk Live later. And, of course, if Rodgers decides to sign with the Steelers, we will go live immediately. So make sure you click that subscribe button, turn on those notifications so you always know when we put out new content right here on Steelers Talk.